Have you ever caught yourself saying things like, "That's just who I am," or "It is what it is"? Do these phrases actually help you grow, or are they silently keeping you stuck? Welcome. If you're serious about self-mastery, emotional strength, and becoming the man you're meant to be, this video is for you. Subscribe now and join a community committed to turning mindset into muscle and words into weapons for growth. Let's dive into the hidden power of language and how it might be silently shaping your destiny. 1. Language of stagnation. That's just how I am. You've heard it before. Maybe you've even said it yourself. That's just how I am. It sounds harmless, like a statement of self-awareness or a badge of authenticity. But more often than not, it becomes a fortress around bad habits, poor communication, or stunted growth. It masquerades as self-acceptance while quietly stifling self-improvement. Let's be honest, at its core, this phrase is a refusal to grow. It's not about being proud of who you are, it's about excusing yourself from the work of becoming who you could be. Take Carl, intelligent, ambitious, and successful in his career, but emotionally rigid. He prided himself on being straightforward and no nonsense. He thought that made him honest, but it really made him insensitive. When people gave him feedback, he'd brush it off. That's just how I am. I don't sugarcoat things. Eventually, his relationships, personal and professional, crumbled. Not because he was inherently flawed, but because he clung to the comfort of familiarity. He chose to defend his patterns rather than question them. He stayed the same, and that cost him everything. There's a profound danger in identifying too closely with your current self. Who you are today is just a snapshot, a moment in the continuous unfolding of your life. If you believe that your habits, tendencies, or weaknesses are permanent fixtures of your identity, you will never challenge them. And if you never challenge them, they will quietly define the limits of your potential. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." That quote isn't just a poetic ideal, it's a battle cry against complacency. Stoicism is not about resigning to who you are, it's about mastering who you are. Every flaw, every blind spot, every painful truth is an opportunity to refine your character. There's also humility in acknowledging that how you are might not be ideal. It takes strength to admit that you have areas where growth is needed. Saying "that's just how I am" is often a defense mechanism, a way to avoid discomfort. But discomfort is where change lives. If you only do what feels easy or natural, you will never evolve beyond your current state. Think about it this way: the same person who says, "That's just how I am," likely wouldn't accept that excuse from someone else. If a friend constantly cancels plans and says, "Sorry, I'm just flaky," you'd expect better. If your boss belittled you and justified it by saying, "That's just how I lead," you'd question their leadership. We expect growth from others. We must expect it from ourselves. Growth is not about changing your essence. It's about shedding the parts of you that no longer serve your higher purpose. Like pruning a tree to help it grow straighter and stronger, personal growth requires deliberate effort and honest evaluation. So the next time you hear yourself say, "That's just how I am," pause. Ask yourself, is this really who I want to be, or is this just who I've settled into being? There is no shame in not being perfect, but there is danger in refusing to try. Who you are is fluid. Who you become is your responsibility. Don't let a phrase become your cage. Break the lock. Choose growth. 2. The myth of the silent man. Real men don't talk about feelings. Who decided that silence equals strength? The phrase, "real men don't talk about feelings," has been passed down like an heirloom of Stoic masculinity. But this isn't Stoicism, it's suppression. And suppression is not strength, It's slow decay. For generations, men have been taught to hide their emotions, to grit their teeth, bury their grief, and push through pain without flinching. Vulnerability was labeled weakness. Sensitivity was seen as softness. But beneath this mask of toughness lies a truth many are too afraid to confront. Silence is killing us. The American Psychological Association has shown a direct link between emotional suppression and serious mental and physical health issues, anxiety, depression, substance abuse, and even cardiovascular disease. Bottling up emotions doesn't make them disappear. It turns you into a pressure cooker, silent on the outside, boiling on the inside. Let's talk about Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, a warrior, a Stoic philosopher. On the surface, the ultimate embodiment of strength. But he journaled daily. His fears, his doubts, his internal battles. Meditations, his personal reflections weren't written for glory or legacy. They were written for survival. To make sense of pain, to understand anger, to lead himself before he led others. His strength was not in silence, but in self-awareness. We've romanticized the strong, silent type for too long. It's time to rewrite that story. True strength is not found in shutting down. It's found in showing up. To your own emotions, to the emotions of others, to the reality that being human means feeling. The idea that real men don't talk about feelings is a myth built on fear. Fear of judgment, fear of vulnerability, fear of not measuring up to some outdated standard. But emotional honesty is not weakness, it's courage. It takes bravery to say, I'm hurting. It takes maturity to admit, I don't have it all figured out. Speaking your truth is not about dumping your problems on others. It's about giving yourself the space to process them. Whether it's with a friend, a therapist, or through writing, expressing emotion is how you maintain emotional integrity. And let's be clear, emotions don't make you irrational. They make you real. The Stoics didn't deny emotion. They understood emotion. They studied it, questioned it, and channeled it. You can feel deeply and remain disciplined. You can hurt and still lead. You can cry and still be a man. So if you want to lead others, start by leading yourself. Through truth, not toughness. Through clarity, not concealment. Your silence doesn't make you powerful. Your honesty does. 3. The blame game. It's not my fault. Let's talk about one of the most destructive phrases in the human vocabulary. It's not my fault. On the surface, it feels like a defense, a way to protect your ego when things go wrong. But underneath, it's a quiet surrender. It's the language of the powerless. Because the moment you say, it's not my fault, you shift responsibility away from yourself, and along with it, your ability to change. Sure, sometimes things aren't your fault. Life throws curveballs, people betray you, circumstances spiral beyond your control. But here's the truth Stoicism teaches. You are not responsible for everything that happens to you. You are always responsible for how you respond. The Stoic Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you place all blame outside yourself, you forfeit your greatest power, your agency. Blame feels good temporarily. It gives you a villain, an excuse, a scapegoat. But over time, it turns corrosive. It erodes self-respect and builds helplessness. You start to believe you are a product of your problems, not the architect of your responses. Take ownership instead, not because everything is your fault, but because everything you do next is your choice. When you own your actions, you regain control. You become the author of your own story, not just a victim of the plot. Accountability is not self-blame. It's self-empowerment. It says, I can't control others, but I can control me. I can't change the past, but I can choose how I move forward. In Stoicism, the inner citadel, your mind, your reason, your moral will, is your fortress. Nothing external can rob you of it unless you surrender it yourself. So stop saying, it's not my fault, and start asking, what can I do about this? That shift is everything. That's where progress lives. That's where growth begins. Because the real power is never in blaming. It's in becoming. 4. The mask of entitlement. I deserve better. At first glance, the phrase, I deserve better, feels righteous. It sounds like the anthem of someone finally setting boundaries, stepping into their worth, or refusing to settle for less. And in some rare cases, that's true. But far more often, this phrase doesn't represent empowerment, it represents entitlement. It's not about rising above disrespect or toxic environments. It becomes an excuse to avoid accountability, to reject growth, to mask laziness or fragility behind a noble-sounding claim. Entitlement is deceptive. It wears the mask of self-respect, but beneath it lies the refusal to do the hard work required to earn better. It says, I want the reward, but not the struggle. I want the respect, but not the discipline. I want the position, but not the responsibility. True self-worth doesn't demand a better outcome. It demands better input. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome and philosopher of Stoic endurance, never said, I deserve better. Even in the face of betrayal, illness, war, and grief, he did not complain about what others owed him. He focused instead on what he owed the world. He worked on his character, not his comfort. And because of that, he left a legacy of strength. We must ask ourselves, when we say, I deserve better, what are we really saying? Are we saying, I want to grow, improve, and pursue a life aligned with my values? Or are we saying, I'm tired and I don't want to push any further, so I'm declaring the current effort beneath me? If you want better, build better. It's a dangerous trap to believe that simply existing entitles us to peace, love, wealth, or recognition. You don't get in shape by believing you deserve fitness. You don't gain wisdom by declaring yourself intelligent. You must earn what you seek. This is not a punishment. It's a process of transformation. The work itself is what makes you worthy. We see this mentality infect relationships, careers, and even health. A partner says, I deserve someone who loves me more, but hasn't examined how they show love themselves. An employee says, I deserve a promotion, but hasn't shown leadership or initiative. A person says, I deserve to be happy, but spends no time cultivating gratitude, discipline, or purpose. Desire without effort is fantasy, and fantasy is the enemy of growth. Of course, you are valuable. Of course, you have worth. But value doesn't give you a free pass through life. Value comes with responsibility. You must protect it, refine it, and invest it. Character is not forged in complaint. It's revealed in action. Complaints demand the world change. Character demands we change ourselves. Stoicism teaches that the only thing we truly control is our response to events. So when life hands you disrespect, rejection, or failure, you face a choice. You can shout, I deserve better, or you can build the kind of person who earns better. The first is easy. The second is powerful. Stop waiting for someone to give you what you think you deserve. Build the habits that make it impossible to ignore your value. Focus on your virtues. Strengthen your resilience. Serve with excellence. Be the kind of person whose presence is the answer to a problem, not the source of one. You don't get better by asking. You get better by becoming. Let others say, you deserve better. But let your actions prove it. 5. Minimal effort, minimal growth. That's not my job. Few phrases sound more harmless or more dangerous than "that's not my job." At face value, it's just a boundary, a line in the sand between one person's responsibilities and another's. But in practice, it becomes a wall, a shield, a limitation, and worst of all, it becomes a mindset. "That's not my job" is the motto of minimalists, not in the noble sense, but in the lazy one. It's the voice that whispers, "Do only what's asked. Avoid inconvenience. Stick to the script." But the truth is, no one who changes the world does only what's required. No one who leads says, "That's not my job." They ask, "How can I help?" Let's talk about Rai. Rai was competent. On paper, he never made a mistake. He submitted reports on time. He did his work. He followed instructions. But that was it. He never offered to help a struggling teammate. Never suggested a new idea. Never stayed late to solve a tough problem. He lived at the minimum. And when layoffs came, when leadership had to choose who stayed and who went, Rai was the first out. Not because he failed, but because he never mattered. There's a difference between surviving and contributing. One avoids blame. The other creates value. Think about the people who made an impression on you, the ones you admired, the ones you wanted to follow. Were they the type to say, "That's not my job"? Or did they jump in when things got tough? Did they wait to be told what to do? Or did they anticipate the need and act? Leadership is not a title. It's a behavior. It's a willingness to step into discomfort when others step back. It's seeing a mess and cleaning it up without needing credit. It's choosing action over apathy. You don't need to fix everything, but you must stop shrinking from everything. Every time you say, "That's not my job," you chip away at your own potential. You send a message, not just to others, but to yourself. I don't go the extra mile. I don't step up. I do the least I can. And then we wonder why we feel stuck. Excellence begins where convenience ends. It's not enough to show up. You must engage. You must challenge yourself. You must find the pride in doing more than what's expected, not less. The Stoics would ask, are you doing your duty to the best of your ability? Not just the tasks assigned to you, but your duty as a human being. Your duty to be useful, to grow, to be a source of strength in a chaotic world. A person who leads a meaningful life doesn't hide behind the narrowness of their job description. They take ownership of their surroundings. They contribute to the whole. They strive to leave things better than they found them. If a teammate drops the ball, help pick it up. If a solution is needed, offer one. If something's broken, fix it, whether or not your name is on the assignment. The reward: growth, respect, influence, purpose. You are not here to skate by. You are not here to stay invisible. You are here to command the day, to walk into your environment and say, I'm going to make this better. That's the difference between being part of the machinery and becoming the force that moves it. The next time you're tempted to say, that's not my job, pause. Ask, is this an opportunity to lead, to grow, to serve? Because often, the task you avoid is the one that teaches you who you're capable of becoming. Don't settle for minimal effort. Don't aim for minimal growth. Aim for greatness. Rewrite your script. Reclaim your strength. Every phrase you speak is a script you're following. If your words reflect weakness, your life will follow. But if you speak with clarity, responsibility, and purpose, your actions will echo that strength. So choose wisely. Don't settle for cliches that cage you. Replace them with language that elevates you. Because the man you want to become is already listening to the words you say. Subscribe now, and let's keep sharpening the mind, building the body, and refining the soul, one word at a time.